Hey guys, welcome to my new YouTube video in which we will explain why Dune has more religious influences than you think. Frank Herbert's Dune is often hailed as a monumental science fiction series. Its significance extends far beyond space travel, politics, and ecology. If you look closely, Herbert's Dune universe is laced with profound religious influences, especially from the Sufi sect in Islam, as well as the culture of the Middle East. In this video, we will explore how Dune incorporates religious influences, particularly Islamic themes like jihad or the Holy War, and how the Fremen, Dune's desert-dwelling people, mirror real-life cultures. Part 1. Paul Atreides and the Holy War/Jihad. At the heart of Dune lies Paul Atreides, a young nobleman and ultimately the orchestrator of a holy war. In Dune, this war is not just about any conflict, it's a jihad. The term itself has a deep historical and religious significance in Islam, where it traditionally means struggle or effort. The greater jihad is the battle against oneself, the nafs, and the lesser jihad is traditionally about a war effort. Whilst within the movie itself, the word jihad is not repeated very often or even mentioned barely at all, within the novel, jihad is mentioned a multitude of times. This is probably due to the inflammatory nature of the word within media, causing the filmmakers to avoid using it. Part 2. The Fremen and their Islamic influences. Now let's turn to the Fremen, the desert-dwelling people of Arrakis who are at the center of Paul's jihad. The Fremen are perhaps the most directly influenced by the Islamic culture. Their names, practices, and even their language draws heavily from Arabic as well as other nomadic Berber languages, and their culture echoes real-world Bedouin tribes and their nomadic lifestyle, such as the Amazigh people. For example, even the Fremen term for Paul, Mahdi, is a direct nod to Islamic belief, where the Mahdi is a prophetic figure who will appear before the end of the world to restore justice. The expansionary nature of Paul's revenge on the Imperium also ties directly to the expansionist nature of Muslim empires when they are undergoing jihad. Also, the title Lisan al-Ghaib is an interesting term. Lisan al-Ghaib means the tongue of the unseen or missing. The title could be reworded to Lisan al-Ghaib, which Herbert could intend to reference the metaphysical application of ghaib, which would represent in Islam the unseen dimensions of reality that nobody else can see. Part 3. The Bene Gesserit's clothing. One aspect of Dune that often goes unnoticed is a striking similarity between the Bene Gesserit attire and traditional modest Islamic clothing like the jilbab. The Bene Gesserit are known for their strict discipline, mastery of control, and secretive influence. Their robes, much like the jilbab worn by some Muslim women, cover the body from head to toe, emphasizing modesty and restraint. Jilbab is traditionally worn to protect the body from public gaze, and it serves the same purpose as the Bene Gesserit clothing. It is symbolic of control and privacy. The Bene Gesserit too live by a code that values intellectual and spiritual power over physical appearance, and their robes reinforce this by masking the body. As a disclaimer, I must say that the Bene Gesserit do not continuously cover their body and face. Sometimes they don't. The same thing with some Muslim women, they will not practice the custom of veiling. However, both the Bene Gesserit and the Fremen attire do draw direct parallels to most forms of Islamic clothing or cultures associated with Islamic clothing, such as the Berber and Amazigh people. Part 4. The separation of true Islam and Frank Herbert's usage of Islam within Dune. Whilst Herbert incorporates many Islamic terms within Dune, giving the book an unmistakable connection to Islamic culture, it is not directly accurate to the representation of Islam today. The Fremen are described to be descendants of a group called the Zen Sunni within the novel, which is a blending of Zen Buddhism and Sunni Islam. Due to the nature of their mixed beliefs, they are not in any way or form could be properly associated with Sunnis today. So whilst Dune has incorporated a lot of Islamic influences, Islamic beliefs cannot be seen as the direct inspiration for the Zen Sunni beliefs, and therefore the Fremen's beliefs do not represent Islam within its entirety. This statement is not particularly important to make as the Fremen are a fictional group, but it is important to make the distinction between their beliefs. Part 5. The accusation of Orientalism The term Orientalism, as coined by scholar Edward Said in his influential 1978 book Orientalism, refers to the way Western cultures often construct and portray the East, the Orient as it's called, as exotic, backward, mysterious, and inherently different from the West. This portrayal often involves a tendency to romanticize and stereotype Eastern cultures while also casting them as something to be tamed, controlled, or transformed by the West. In the case of Dune, some critics have argued that Herbert's depiction of Fremen people and their culture, as well as their religion, draws on and reinforces Orientalist stereotypes. This point can be argued successfully, as Dune does use various Arabic and Islamic terms such as jihad or Mahdi without fully exploring or explaining their complex meanings within Islamic contexts. Critics argue that this kind of appropriation can be seen as superficial and exploitative, using the cultural and religious symbols of Islam to create a mystical, exotic world without truly engaging with or respecting the culture and traditions behind these symbols. To conclude, we must understand that Dune is more than just a sci-fi epic. It's a deep meditation on the power of religion and the consequences of movements. Paul Atreides' jihad, the Fremen-inspired Islamic culture, and the mystical elements drawn from Sufism create a complex web of spiritual and political themes that transcend mere science fiction. Thank you for joining me on exploring the religious depths of Dune. If you enjoyed this analysis, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. I will leave you with one of my favorite scenes from the movie, The Message.
The ink of a scholar is holier than the blood of a martyr. A man reading is handsome in the sight of God.